Oh, there it is.
All right. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can hear you, can see you.
Paperboard, it's where they are. Burned it. No third cut, huh?
Lawn clippings?
You won't mind.
Sure, bring them over.
If my grass would only grow, I'd bring them.
Yes,
It'd be expensive here.
it was pretty weak. Oh, so,
Sorry, folks. Looks like Jason just hopped off. I'm sure he'll be back on here in a moment. So thank you for bearing with us. We'll there's Dave.
And Alex, if he can't get back on, I do have a hard stop. So if he can't make it work, let's just have another member
Dave
take
on.
care.
Okay. How's it going over there, Jason?
Didn't seem like he heard you. I don't see him plugged in.
bottom
Yeah.
right.
Oh, there.
Why does yours keep spinning? The cursor doesn't go to
My person?
It was. See,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it just does it because it's running.
Yeah. So, Dave, Jason's had some technical issues. Gina did have the idea that if if those technical issues continue, we may want to have you run the meeting.
Okay.
And Jason, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but I think maybe having Dave get things started may be the best option.
All right, so we're going to call to order the board meeting on November 18th. We'll start with approving the minutes from last meeting.
So moved if you need a.
Yep. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. So the last month's meetings are approved, and Alex, I'll give it to you to start with the agenda.
I don't think we formally voted.
You didn't.
Yeah. So
Dave, do you want to call a vote on
Yeah.
the minutes?
Yep. So we're gonna call a vote for approval. All approving, say aye.
I
All opposed, nay.
Can you
So
remind me, if you weren't here, do you need to abstain or can you?
I was not here, so I'm
No,
gonna
you don't.
abstain.
You do not need to abstain. All you need to do is have read the meeting minutes.
Okay,
So
then I also vote to approve.
once again, I apologize for my technical difficulties this morning, but I think it's all fixed.
Sit here
All
and
right.
problem.
We can hear you. We can see you all right here. So,
right.
good to have you back online.
Great.
Jason, before we move forward, I do want to just share we have Mark Foster, Rennie Perry, and Richard McCurr here in the room with us, as well as Alex and Nicole from staff. And then, of course, all of our online folks.
Alex, my apologies, but okay, now it's working because when you switch screens, it covers the document you're like that's covering the
Oh, yeah.
document that you're showing.
Got it.
Yeah, there you go. That's better.
Okay.
All right, Dave, you want me to take it from here?
Yep. It's all
Okay.
you.
All right, so minutes have been approved. Alex, you want to jump into your staff activities report?
Yeah, we have a full report available in SharePoint, but a few highlights I'll share real quick. The first one is just as it relates to our discussion from last month regarding board seats in anticipation of our annual meeting in November. I did not place an update on the agenda, but I do want folks to know that we did have a discussion at executive committee earlier this month, and we do have one resolution prepared for next month, setting the number of seats for 2026 at 14. So that's the 13 that we had throughout this year, plus the new Bristol Town Administrator, Greg, who's on the call today. We'll be introducing him here in a little bit. So really no change to the number of seats. We also have another resolution prepared that will renew terms for gosh, I forget off the top of my head. I believe it's Chris and Ryan and one other person. We have a couple people who'll be renewing for a second 3-year term. And then that resolution also appoints a new person to fill Gina's seat. We do have 2 potential candidates that the nominating committee will be reviewing early next month. So just want folks to know we will have 2 resolutions coming before the board in October to set the slate for our annual meeting in November. Otherwise, we had a great mixer this week at Lincoln Peak Vineyard. Thank you to everybody who was able to attend. Had pretty good turnout, about 35, 40 people. Beautiful venue, beautiful night. So that was really great. Also, to follow up on another conversation from last month, member retention continues to be a big priority. And I just want to say kudos to Nicole. She's done a great job over the last few weeks of manually following up with people to drive more renewals. We've kind of run into this issue where we believe that a lot of our automated correspondence from GlueUp, which is our customer relations management software, we think a lot of those emails are going to people's spam folders. So when people are getting those automated emails to renew, they're not seeing them. We know that manual follow-up has always been important, but now we're realizing it's more important than ever. But again, really excited to see that after a few months of just, a lot of non-renewals, we're starting to see more renewals, some new memberships come in, and I think we're really starting to turn the tide on building memberships. So really excited with that. And again, big kudos to Nicole for driving that effort. Otherwise, some big news is posting the assistant director position. I do have that on the agenda for more discussion, so I'll refrain from going into more detail. But we are staying very busy here with grant work, business support, and all the great stuff that we are charged with doing. So I'll leave it there for staff report. Happy to answer any questions folks may have about specific projects, outreach, anything of that nature. But yeah, we are staying busy, and Camille, of course, continues to be a big help, even from Portland. I guess that last 2 things I should mention. The BGS Building Community Grant Program was finally announced about 2 weeks ago. That was about 2 months behind, but this is a grant program we've always been very active with. We've had a lot of interest from businesses, so Camille's working that, and we've also begun soliciting project submissions for the regional project priority list. Those project submissions will be due by the end of October. We'll go through scoring in November and submit that list to the state in the beginning of December. But if you know of any nonprofits or municipalities with big infrastructure projects, please send them our way. Let them know how important the RPP is, and we would.
All right, thank you, Alex. Any questions for Alex?
Did we lose them?
I think we lost Alex.
Have to work with. Can you hear me now?
Yep. So also
Okay.
in your packet is the August financials. I don't know if anyone has any questions for Alex on those, or Alex, you want to hit any highlights or concerns, as well as
Yeah.
with the communications and our marketing and communications activity.
So I'll just touch on financials real quick. Again, I think the big concern here is just making sure that we are hitting our target for revenue tied to business memberships. Again, we are starting to turn the tide there, so that's been great. But also do want folks to be aware that with the posting of the assistant director job position, we experienced this, I think, a year or two ago, when we had to hire. Anytime we have to hire, especially kind of unexpectedly, if you will, that is not cheap. Can be a couple $1,000s to really post it on several different sites. So that is also an unanticipated cost. Otherwise, I think we're tracking pretty well with our budget right now. We are tracking a year in deficit, which we had expected. But that deficit is still pretty small, well below $10,000, I believe. And again, we have some pending grant applications that have been submitted that, if awarded, will provide administrative fees that will close that grant. So we're about on pace where we expected, but where we expected was a small deficit. So we're still working to close that gap before June of 26. And I think we can still get there, but yeah, we got some work to do. So that's it at the moment for financials. Marketing communications report, is that on certain?
It's not.
We'll get that on SharePoint today. But that's another area where Nicole's been very busy, just driving our online engagement and audience.
And it has gone up.
Yeah, metrics are good on that. We've also kind of reinvigorated interactions on Front Porch Forum and gotten a lot of traction there. So yeah, good. Nicole's doing a great job managing all that in-house now over the last couple months.
Excellent. Any questions before we move on? All right, hearing none. So at this point, brings us to citizen comments. This is an opportunity to raise or address issues otherwise not included on the agenda. That can include issues or things that individually you want to bring to the board, or items that community members have come to you and asked you to bring forward. So does anyone have anything they want to bring forward at this point? Okay, excellent. We will move on. I just want to give you a heads up, Dave. I have a hard out at 8:15, so I'll disappear and turn it over to you at that point. Unfortunately, I had a client that needs to meet with me this morning and couldn't do it at any other time. So,
Okay.
So that being said, we'll move on to the informational portion of our agenda and turn it over to Alex for staffing update.
Yeah, so as mentioned last month, with Camille's departure, we are looking at how we proceed with our staffing and really what that structure looks like. So just want to really bring the whole board up to speed on, first of all, our job posting for an assistant director, but also wanted to share, why we've created this position specifically, how we're approaching restructuring, and I'll start by saying, and of course, want to entertain any discussion or answer any questions folks may have. But I'll start by saying, it occurred to me pretty early on. I always knew with Camille, it wasn't a question of, if she'd leave, but when she'd leave, and sad to see her go. But I realized pretty quickly that this was not a new challenge for us as an organization. I've been looking at Fred's tenure over 7 or 8 years. This is something he dealt with often, was just that turnover and support staff. And what I realized was that if we were to post Camille's position exactly as it was at the pay level that she was receiving, we were going to be extremely challenged trying to find somebody else, A, of Camille's quality, and B, that we would have any hope of retaining for a significant amount of time. So rather than just posting for a grant and project manager at $25 to $27 an hour, I made the decision to post for an assistant director at a higher pay rate. And I do want to be very straightforward and transparent in saying that this hiring will impact the overall structure of staff and specifically Nicole's position. Again, I want to give a lot of credit to Nicole here. She's been amazing in terms of understanding that her position could be consolidated into this position. It could be reduced. It could be retained. And she has agreed to stay on and continue working in her capacity and working with us, and whatever that capacity is through this hiring process and after that person is hired. So again, want to take this opportunity to acknowledge Nicole for being an amazing team player and understanding the challenge we're dealing with. So the assistant director position that we posted has a pay range of $56,000 to $78,000 with an offer of a stipend for health insurance that could bring the total pay package to about 85 to 86,000. That reflects the amount that we had budgeted for fiscal year 26 for both Camille and Nicole's position. So again, those positions could be consolidated into one if we get a candidate, of a certain quality that will require that pay level. So really with this position, what we're hoping is that we can get somebody who can do all the grant work that Camille was doing, but who can also take on a larger role in business support and business engagement. One of the biggest challenges I face as an executive director, and I know this is true for Fred as well, is really balancing time between the issues of the day and the big picture issues and the more long-term strategies around the big picture issues, housing being a perfect example. It's hard to move the needle on housing and really pursue those long-term strategies if you're spending every day responding to emails, going from one business meeting to another to help folks deal with whatever the most urgent issue is in their life. So at that moment, so my hope is with the assistant director, they can really take on a lot of that responsibility for the day-to-day business that we deal with, which will allow me more time to work specifically with our municipalities and community partners to focus on big picture issues like housing. The last thing I'll say about this assistant director position specifically is, while we'd love to get that person who can, really help shoulder the load, we may find that there's somebody with a specific skill set that we can bring on at, 50 to 60K and give, very tailored workload to that would allow us to retain Nicole, who could continue being our member relations and marketing communications person. So, last thing I'll say on that is we posted the position Monday. So far, we've gotten close to 20 candidates. Of those 20, I would say there are a few who honestly might be bots. I'm not even sure if they're real people. But among those 20, I would say there's 4 or 5 that are certainly, worthy of an interview and could potentially be good candidates. So I've been pretty pleased with the traffic so far. I'm also, working really hard to not just be reactive and waiting for submissions to come in via Indeed and LinkedIn. I have been doing a ton of outreach to folks in my network and around the state, just trying to go to organizations and sources that may be able to connect us with candidates. And of course, I'd like to all of you, if you know anybody who you think would be a good fit, please send them my way. I will pause there for a moment just to answer any questions folks may have, any feedback, comments. Again, this I think will have a large impact on how the rest of the year goes and certainly beyond. So it's something that, while it kind of falls on my shoulders as the executive director, I just want to be very open with the board and have that conversation. And
Well, didn't we had this position before, right?
yes,
This was with the transition of Fred going out and having somebody take over.
Mhm.
So is the job description now similar to the previous one?
yes, and I actually used the previous job description as sort of the template to create this one.
Mhm.
And I'll say the biggest change I made was around the qualifications. I really want to open this up to folks who might not have economic development experience, might not have 5 to 10 years of experience. Again, Camille, I think, is a great example of somebody who was fresh out of school, who under regular circumstances may not have met the qualifications of this job and frankly did an amazing job. So I want to have candidates who maybe they've been working for 20 years, but they're new to economic development, or somebody who's fresh out of school, has no experience, but has the right attitude. So that's where I really focused on changes. Otherwise, the job description, the duties and the responsibilities are pretty similar to what we saw before. And it really, again, is taking a lead role in interacting with nonprofits and businesses while playing a support role in all the other administrative functions that I'm responsible for. Do we have any questions or any comments from any folks online? The job will be posted. The deadline we have for applications is October 10th. So I believe that's about 4 weeks from now, so about a month-long posting. Once that closes, and maybe even prior to that closing, we'll start doing some outreach and scheduling interviews. I'm hoping to do interviews through the month of October, and then hopefully in November, be extending an offer and bringing somebody on. And if that works out where we can hire somebody in November, that would really allow, in my mind, a good period of time where we would still have Camille through middle of January, so there'd be some decent overlap there for training between Camille and whoever this new person is. So like the
Excellent.
pace that we're at right now, and yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, good luck. Next on our agenda is the annual meeting update. You want to touch briefly on that, Alex?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my staff report, we do have those resolutions ready to go for October, setting the number of seats at 14, and we will have a nominee to fill Gina's empty seat then as well. The other part of this update that I did want to share is that right now we have a tentative date set for November 6th at Town Hall Theater. It is planned as an evening event similar to what we did last year. It sounds like that was pretty well received, and it's not a full-on dinner, it'll just be hors d'oeuvres and drinks. At the moment, I reached out to the organization Let's Build Homes to request a speaker. They have indicated that they will have somebody available to speak, just not on the 6th. So the predicament I face right now is that I either have to find another speaker or we have to move the date to either a Tuesday or Wednesday. The 6th is a Thursday, so they can do either the Tuesday or Thursday of that week, which would be the 4th or 5th, or the Tuesday or Wednesday of the following week. So again, this is on me, but just want the board to be aware that I'm trying to sew up those details here very soon so that we can get an announcement out and proceed with planning. But if the board has any thoughts or feedback, either A, on moving the date and securing a speaker from Let's Build Homes, or ideas on other speakers. Two other folks that came to mind for me were Mike Pichak. Of course, he's speaking at the Chamber's annual meeting. Kevin Chu, I know, is always popular, but I think he's spoken quite a bit. He's from Vermont Futures Project. So I was trying to kind of look beyond those two. Let's Build Homes, I think, did some great work during the legislative session in driving CHIP and the project-based TIF idea. And as folks know, I'm very big on the housing issue. So I think having a speaker who can connect the need for housing to jobs and how it affects the overall economy is a good topic for a speaker. But if any folks have other ideas, certainly happy to hear those. But I would like to, again, have that all sewn up really in the next week or two. But yeah, that's where we stand right now with the annual meeting. So any thoughts, questions, comments, happy to take those.
I'd just make the comment, if you're interested in hearing this speaker and the other two have done a lot of talking, why not move the date? I mean, you're far enough away to make accommodations. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, all right.
I would agree. We have some flexibility with the date. So if you think you have the ideal speaker, I think it would be worthwhile to reconsider the date.
All
But
right.
it's not like
Yeah,
it's not like it's been published yet. So
exactly. Yeah. All right. So yeah,
All right.
expect a more formal announcement on that probably next week.
sounds great. So it appears we have a new member.
Yes. Yeah, so I am very, very excited today to introduce the new Bristol Town Administrator, Greg. And Greg, I apologize. I'm not sure if the last name's pronounced Faust or Faust.
Faust.
Faust. Okay, great. So yeah, Greg started in Bristol. Gosh, was it 2 months ago now?
It's been like 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay, so I have met with Greg. We had a great lunch a few weeks ago. He has hit the ground running. I'm really excited to work with him. But of course, Bristol has a designated seat on our board. So we now have our 14th board member. So I just want to take the opportunity today to let Greg introduce himself, let the board meet him, ask any questions they have about Greg or things going on in Bristol. So Greg, if you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your
Sure.
work in Bristol and all the great things you've been up to.
Well, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this board. I have a pretty diverse background. I was retired from the military, got out and worked for nonprofits in the homeless sector, executive leadership. I helped build affordable housing for nonprofits, LIHTC programming, low income tax credit, and then worked on the development side with the city of Phoenix in our development division. And I built affordable housing infrastructure. The last project we finished on affordable housing was about 3,200 units in the last year. My wife got a job offered at Middlebury College, and we've been trying to get out of Arizona forever. So it just the stars kind of aligned, to be honest with you. I didn't really think this would happen, but it did. And absolutely loving being here in Vermont. I love the community. So definitely an interesting place. It's very quiet. I have no commute in the morning. Like it's pretty much paradise. It's the best kept secret. So, but I'm certainly more than willing to answer any questions you have. And
Excellent. Well, welcome aboard.
thank you.
Welcome.
I hope I get an opportunity to run into you Friday night at Addison Housing Works
I'll be there
on your
with
green.
bells on.
So
Yeah.
excellent. Well, I'll be listening for the bells. So we'll try to track you down that way.
Will do.
So welcome. Thanks a lot, and welcome to the board and welcome to Vermont. So
Thank you so much.
all right, Alex, workforce expansion coordinator
Yes.
intro.
We have another exciting introduction to make today. So I'll give a little background real quick before I introduce our new person. But as folks likely recall, we applied for and were awarded a workforce expansion program technical assistance grant through the Vermont Department of Labor this year. And the technical assistance takes the form of a workforce expansion coordinator who will be working here in Addison County in a full-time capacity for the next 2 years. So this person will be a Department of Labor employee. However, they will really kind of function and operate as kind of like an extension of our staff. We looked at this person as a team member. So that coordinator was hired last month, has now been on the job for, I believe, about 4 weeks. So Becca Carter is here today, the coordinator. I'm going to let her talk about her position and her focus for her work over the next 2 years. But before I turn over to her, I will just say it's been an absolute pleasure working with her over the last couple of weeks. And I could not be more excited or more pleased with the outcome of this program and the opportunity we have for working with our employers and our community partners on workforce development issues. We weren't totally sure what we were signing up for, what we were getting into when we applied. We just knew we needed help. And it so far has really been a dream. So yeah, very excited to have Becca here. And with that, I will turn it over to Becca to talk more about her work on workforce here in Addison County.
Sure. So first I wanted to thank Alex, Camille, Nicole. They've all been incredibly welcoming, supportive. And I just really appreciate that they are as excited for this program as I am. I'm really happy to be here. I come from a background, I worked in manufacturing for about 10 years, worked at Food Science Corporation for the bulk of that, and then also spent some time working at Autumn Harp. And then for the past 11 years, I've been working for an organization that most people in Vermont know as Vermont High Tech. For a while, they were also known as Institute for American Apprenticeships. Most recently, they renamed to Job Forward. And they provided workforce development assistance on a national scale. And I'm really excited to take those skills that I learned at that position and bring them locally here to Vermont because, like Greg said, Vermont's pretty fantastic. I've been here for 25 years and I can't imagine living anywhere else. We've already started meeting with a handful of different employers and community organizations, hireability, et cetera. So that's been very busy and very exciting. And it's really been great to dig into the nuances of why workforce development is so incredibly challenging for Addison County, because I think there are a lot of different struggles with it being rural, the aging population, access to transportation, all of that. So it's been great to learn a little bit more on a zoomed in level of the challenges that are specific to Addison County.
Becca, can you just tell us a little bit more about the priority populations and the target industries that we're working
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, as part of their application, ACEDC had to select 3 priority populations. They ended up selecting youth, which is 14 to 24, individuals with disabilities, and also adults without high school diplomas. The 2 industry sectors that they selected were manufacturing, which that's my background, so I'm excited to help out there. And then also human services with a little bit more of a zoomed in focus specifically on healthcare.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What I'll share, just to give folks context as to why we chose these populations specifically, here in Addison County, if you look at our prime working age population, so it's adults, I believe, like 24 to 65, that labor force participation rate is like 82%, which is really, really strong. So, our typical working age folks, everybody's working. Where we see lower labor force participation is in our subsectors of folks with disabilities, folks without a high school diploma. And then, of course, if you look at the younger subsectors of, 16 to 24, lower labor force participation there as well. So we knew that if we were going to move the needle on employment and workforce participation here in Addison County, we had to focus in on the populations where that labor force participation was a little bit lower. So I think this program is perfectly tailored to the issues and the challenges we face here with labor force participation. The other thing I'll say is that because we have unemployment that's barely 2%, and we have literally just a few hundred people who aren't working, we know that the barriers keeping those folks out of the workforce are very complicated, as Becca kind of alluded to. It's lifestyle, societal, some cultural challenges, barriers that take a lot of time and attention to really address and to overcome. And I myself, with Camille, Nicole, we as a staff, we're never going to have adequate capacity to dig deep enough into those complexities to really create the strategies and the solutions we need to overcome those issues. So having Becca here gives us the capacity to work on this issue that we never would have had otherwise. And that's why we're so excited. And as she mentioned, we are now, instead of having an AQUA or an Addison County Workforce Alliance meeting every 2 months and patting ourselves on the back, we are meeting with these folks literally on a daily basis. And we have now the ability to have these conversations every day and to really do the work to create strategies for, again, creating access to transportation, like giving people the soft skills they need to just understand how to operate in the workplace. So I think we're in a position now with Becca here to have a greater impact on workforce development than we've ever been able to in the past. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I agree with you. I mean, I think this has been on the opus for a while as one of the big things we want to hit, and we've been chipping away at it. And I think it was just a capacity issue. So it's exciting to have, someone extra to push it forward. So welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is definitely an exciting opportunity. So unfortunately, with such low unemployment and so few unemployed people, it may be a hard needle to move, but someone's got to do it. So excellent. Let's see. We don't need an executive session. However, it's not on the agenda. But Alex, do you want to talk a little bit about the peer review that you did recently? A little more about that and how, what what came of that, and ultimately what do you expect to come out of it if we haven't gotten a report yet?
So yeah, the RDCs of the Vermont Regional Development Corporations, as folks are likely aware, we're one of 12 here in the state. And our network of RDC directors each year conducts peer reviews where every director is expected to go visit two other RDCs and meet with their staff and directors and share their feedback on how they're operating, their successes, their challenges. And then each RDC will be visited by two directors. So I met with Lyle Jepson from the Rutland Regional Chamber and Economic Development Corporation, as well as Bob Flint from the Springfield Regional Development Corporation back in the beginning of August. It was a great visit, and I will say I'm very lucky stepping into this position. All the other directors have been doing this for a long time and have been working in Vermont for a long time, so they not only have just years of experience, but they have that deep knowledge of Vermont that I lack as being somebody who's so new here. And the level of communication and coordination that occurs between all the RDCs, I think is really great for the state as a whole. But it's really made I basically have 11 friends that I can go to and ask for advice and guidance. Did actually get to meet with Fred the other day too, which was great. But with that, we covered a lot of ground. They were here for about 4 hours. I think the biggest takeaway from that for me was really just dealing with the challenges around staffing and surrounding yourself with people who could help you achieve. We all operate on a shoestring budget with limited capacity, and that was kind of a big thing I brought up at the time was how have you guys approached hiring and built teams to be effective? So got some great insight there. But yeah, happy to talk more about that. But we got pretty into the weeds. Stuff.
Excellent. If we don't have anyone have any other questions for Alex or Rebecca? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Okay, it's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and have a spectacular day.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. Take care.